welcome back to the Tali Loz podcast, where we discover spirituality together. And again, I'd love to welcome back Jeff, who is going to talk about Libra season with us. What can we do to balance out ourselves this month? Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very much looking forward to this Libra season, maybe because I'm Libra myself and I'm looking forward to my birthday as well.
Yes. Hopefully you can have a bit bigger party than last year.
I'm not sure about the parties, but in any case, this is always a great time of, having a new boost of energy, having a new, I don't know, soul contract almost, or something new coming into our lives.
Right. Okay. So let's get to it. So what can we expect of the healthy expressions of Libra?
Yes, so Libra energy is amazing, of course. How else would I describe that? So the start of the season is the 22nd of September, and it will last for a month. So we will probably also feel the shift from the Virgo energies into the Libra energies. Virgo is the earth sign, so it's very practical, very grounded. It's what can I do? What is my next best step? Whereas Libra is ruled by Venus, and it's the air energy. It's the energy of the air element, and the air is also it's thinking, it's communication, it's how we relate to other people. And so the domain of Libra is relationships.
Okay,
right? It is how we relate to other people. It is how we build relationships. It is how we are able to listen to another person. It is how we can be equal with another person. It is also how we exercise empathy. How can we actually feel what another person might need?
Right. So is it also a bit more social than the Virgo season? Because Virgo was a lot about self-care.
Absolutely. Yes. The Libra can be a social butterfly. It loves being, in not in the center of attention necessarily, no, but it's very social, and because it intuitively knows how to build relationships with grace, with charm. These are the people, they are very likable people, they know how to charm it, they want to, but they also very gracious. They have beautiful manners. They know how to use the empathy to support other people or to listen to their needs, to their moods, and so on.
Right, so true team players as well.
Absolutely. So that is great, and that brings also the focus for all of us to focus on on our relationships in our lives. Again, not necessarily romantic ones. It's really all relationships which are one-to-one, right? Mm-hmm. What is the quality of those relationships? How do we build them? What is important? Which relationships are energizing us and which are not, which are good for us and which are not. So these are all the questions which will come up in the season, that's for sure.
Right. Okay. So is it also maybe like a sort of social detox time, that if you feel like this person should not really be in my energy, it might be a good time to let go of certain people? Is that the right season for this as well? Or not really?
I wouldn't say it's about the detox. Not really, because it is the season where we review relationships. And the way that we review relationships is through going through it. You are in a situation with somebody, and this will give you a feedback. This will give you a mirror of whether you feel good with this person or not, whether you feel supported, energized, or depleted. So it's rather reviewing the relationships, okay? And that will also be supported very much by the upcoming Mercury Retrograde.
Okay, the fearful Mercury retrograde, if people say. Is it that fearful though, or not really? Again, is that sort of a myth?
It depends. I'm always explaining that this is a blessing in disguise. Okay. Why do I say that? Because obviously Mercury rules thinking, communication, logic, right? And that is something that we in our society are using a lot. Okay. We're trained since childhood that we have to use our logic, have to see the data, have to use the facts. And so oftentimes we find ourselves in quite an imbalanced situation because we tend to overtrain our minds and undertrain our intuition.
Okay, yes.
And so what happens, the universe says, dears, I understand your life is really hectic, busy, and dynamics, but you still need to work on your intuition. And here I will help you. And this is why we have every year, we have 3 Mercury retrogrades. They last for 3 weeks. And they help us, every Mercury retrograde, help us to use our intuition more, our intuitive skills, our intuitive abilities, to surrender more, to trust more, to kind of go with the flow. And of course, for the mind, it feels highly uncomfortable. It wants to control things. It wants to plan things. And this is why there is a myth of, it's not a myth, it's more like the fear of, oh my God, I will not be able to think clearly again, or to accomplish my task with the, with efficiency as I used to. Now this is the time to kind of go deeper in oneself. So I see it as a blessing, but of course we need to be prepared for these seasons, because typically this is where we need to back up our technology. This is where we need to make sure that we're double checking the details. This is where misunderstandings between people can arise, and so on.
Okay.
And interestingly, this year in 2021, all 3 Mercury retrogrades, they are taking place in the air signs. We went through the first one in February. That was the Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Then we went through the second one in June. That was the Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Particularly tough because Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Mercury retrograde. So it was hard to kind of concentrate, to start thinking, to pull ourselves together. But it was great anyway. And then the next one will start on the 27th of September. And that will be in the sign of Libra. And so now, as we're speaking, the Libra is about relationships. So in a nutshell, what this retrograde is about is we will be reassessing, reviewing, and reprioritizing relationships in our lives.
Yes.
Right? How do we do relationships? Do we do them right? Are we listening to people? Are we feeling that we're being heard? How do we communicate in relationships? So all these questions will come up to the surface for our review, right?
Right. Okay. Yes. So it's just more the socials as well. And I get it.
Yeah,
that's quite exciting, I think, especially after the Virgo season, being more about me, and self-care in a good way. It's good now to go back to the social.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call Virgo me, because Virgo is this service to others. So there's always, I want to help others. I want to give too much.
Yes.
So it's very conscious choice to actually come back to oneself and pour in oneself first. Correct.
Yes.
But the Libra is really, really putting the spotlight on relationships, because Libra is looking for harmony. It looks for balance. It doesn't like any arguments. It doesn't like uncomfortable conversations. It doesn't like to rock the boat. It can also find oneself every now and then in the roles of a peacemaker or a mediator or a negotiator, because they know how to do it very diplomatically with a win-win kind of flair.
Right. Wow. Okay. And so what other kind of energies can we expect as well? Like, is it maybe also to do with ourselves, like the way we look, our beauty and that kind of thing? Are we going to focus on that, the outer us as well?
Yes, you just picked it up, because as I mentioned, Libra is ruled by Venus. So of course the Venus loves beauty, it loves aesthetics, and Libra energies are bringing this aesthetic side, which can be expressed in willing to buy something for ourselves, to, I don't know, renew a wardrobe or whatever you do, or do some beauty treatments, or maybe buy something beautiful, a beautiful painting for the wall, or listening to beautiful music. So, or maybe even going into, arts, buying arts books, or if it's open to go to a museum or anything of that kind. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very excited about that as well, I think. Yeah, I sort of paid less attention in the last few weeks, so I think now is the perfect time to focus on that for myself as well a little bit. And what are the sort of unhealthy expressions in our Libra season? What do we have to take care of?
We need to make sure that we pay attention to some of the shadow sides of Libra. And the shadow sides are codependency and people pleasing.
Okay.
All right? Because that is something I think many of us can be caught into, because when we know how to listen to other people, when we have this empathy of other people's needs, we may shut our own needs down and only play to kind of please other people and to maintain the peace and harmony.
Okay.
And that, of course, doesn't, it cannot be supported for a very long time, because it will explode at some point anyway, because you cannot just shut down your own needs, or cannot shut down your own energy. So that will be something that we need to pay attention to, as well as any imbalances in relationships. Okay.
Okay. Yes, because you're reviewing them, and then it might get imbalanced as well. Right.
Correct. So look and catch anything that stands out as an imbalance. Are you giving too much? Are you receiving too much? Are you listening too much? Are you not listening? So any of those things will come to the surface for a review. Where do you stand? Are you giving too much emotional support and you are not receiving it back? Are you supporting someone financially for a very long time and you are not getting back? So it really is about balance. It is about making changes and improvements in relationships so that we don't lose ourselves in other people.
Okay, so that makes sort of sense with the crystal sets that we made together. Like on your advice, I picked the crystals. You see a lot of, well, there's rose quartz in it. So it's also for love, for our self-love, but also love to others. The green quartz, heart chakra, again, to not lose yourself. But on the other hand, you have ocean jasper, which is also helps with grounding. So that makes sense why these crystals in the set are in the sets that we made on the zodiac sets.
I totally love it. I totally love it, especially when you said grounding, because as I mentioned, Libra can be avoiding conflicts at all costs, right? Okay. And on one hand, of course, we can think, of course, who wouldn't, right? But on the other hand, the healthy and deep relationships cannot be developed on the surface. It needs depth and needs maturity, and maturity and depth does not come if we are trying to sweep, uncomfortable themes and conversations under the rug. Sometimes we need to put it in the spotlight so that we could talk about it and we can come to a certain either conclusion or to meet each other halfway. And so grounding is really, really important at this time, so that the person who feels, fear of rocking the boat or fear of bringing this topic to another person could first ground oneself, stand in one's own truth and courage, and to actually bring the uncomfortable conversation to the table.
Wow. That makes it makes so much sense. I think we've also I do know. We also have strawberry quartz in the set as well. And actually strawberry quartz is getting a bit more rare because there's not many mines. I think some mines that even stop mining it because it's finished, but it's a perfect root chakra crystal. So even though it's a beautiful red, pinkish, it depends on which mine it comes from. It helps to strengthen our foundation, like our as body's foundation, our mind foundation, and our spiritual foundation. So that will be perfect crystal to carry as well this month.
100%. It's so beautiful, because I'm thinking also about few other shadow sides of Libra, and that comes so helpful. First of all, with Libra energies, unconscious, there can be a lot of romantic idealism. Okay. Idealizing another person, idealizing how your love life can unfold, idealizing your partner, and so on. So this grounding is so important during this season, but also for all the people who have a lot of Libra energies. Right. And then another one is that Libra may have unconscious projections. So what is projection? Projection is something, is something that we tend to project some things to the outside. We are blind to see something in ourselves. We might be blind because we have a lot of blind spots, all of us. This is why it is the lifelong task to to continue working on ourselves, to continue getting to know ourselves. And so some of our shadow sides or some of our blind spots, we tend to project out onto other people.
Okay.
So we might not see it in ourselves, but we can see it in another person. So for example, if a person is very talkative, very talkative, that person might not even notice it in oneself, but he or she will definitely be able to project it out onto others. And when they will meet someone who's very talkative, they will be like, oh my God, I cannot talk to this person because, they cannot even shut up, and anything of that kind. And then other people, when they see it from a side, they would be like, wait a minute, but you're the same,
Yeah.
So it also provides the feedback. It also provides an awareness, and grounding in this way is very helpful for a person not to project out, but to actually own our shadow sides and our awareness.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because projecting, I guess it happens a lot in society these days. You do see a lot of people that have a lot of comments about other people, but actually they're talking to themselves without realizing. Totally. And it happens in real life, it happens online, and wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so we need a lot of grounding this season as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens with the moons this month?
Yes, as always, we have two moons. We have the new moon and the full moon. The new moon in Libra, we will have it in 13 degrees, and that is happening on the 6th of October.
Okay, right.
And it was interesting when I was looking at the chart of that new moon. There is the full house in the sign of Libra, because there is the moon, there is the sun, there is Mars, and even Mercury retrograde.
Wow. Okay. So that's going to be an explosion of something.
It's not an explosion. It's more like a party.
Okay. It's more like a party.
When almost all personal planets are coming to Libra, and they're saying, look, this is the new moon. We want to start something new. We want to either start a new relationship or we want to show up differently in existing relationship.
Okay. And what could that mean? Is it in a romantic relationship or all
It can be romantic relationships, as we were talking. It's one-to-one relationships in your life, because it is let's say it will be in the middle of Mercury retrograde. That is all those processes where you review the quality of your relationships, where you review how you show up in those relationships, where you review what you accept, what you allow, what you want to create in these relationships. These are the new seeds. These are the new intentions. This is the possibility to say, okay, all right, here I want to choose differently for the next 6 months, and of course for the future as well. All right.
Okay.
And as also in previous moons, Jupiter is supporting us a lot, because the Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius, it will trine Sun, Moon, and Mars in Libra. So there is a lot of support, a lot of growth and expansion. in the way where we want to show up differently, in the way that we want to change something. Because you probably have noticed, as we all have, in relationships that we have long term, the longer the relationship lasts, the harder it is to change something.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
We go in certain tracks, and then to change the tracks, it's really hard because there is a dynamic from both sides, right? And so one person who's more conscious, if something doesn't work in those relationships, if something is bothering, then one person should really be kind of strong in terms of mindfully and consciously and very kind, with a lot of kindness, to start changing it and shifting it. And so Jupiter is supporting all this growth and expansion and change. And Saturn retrograde in Aquarius will also trine Sun, Moon, and Mars in Libra. That is another very good support. Although Saturn is not this, nice, easy, shiny planet, but it comes with the seriousness, it comes with the maturity, it comes with the responsibility, and it also helps us to build the long-term foundations.
Okay, so that sort of helps to balance out all the reviews, but just to keep you sort of, in balance, a bit more grounded, I guess, even.
Correct. It helps also to, it helps to make sure that those shifts and changes that we're making in our close relationships, that they are not short term. Yes. It's not that, we have a conversation and we are actually sharing really honestly what is not working between us. And then, the months further, we already forgot about it and we came back to the old tracks. No, Saturn is saying, all right, now we will move slowly, we will change the tracks, but we will not refer back, we will not come back to the old thing.
Okay, so that is the maturity that brings the planet with it, right?
Absolutely. Beautiful. And then also Venus in Scorpio will square Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius, and that creates a little bit of tension because Venus in Scorpio, it wants the passions, it wants the depth, it was the emotional underworld and in relationships. And so this square, it kind of brings also to our surface the need to I will use the word balance again, because obviously Libra is all about balance. So balancing our own deep internal emotional world in relationships so that we could actually exercise emotional detachment when it's needed, to be able to look at the situations from a very objective perspective. Right? Because Aquarius it is the energy that has a gift of using and stepping into emotional detachment when it's needed. It's not overly emotional. There can be emotions within, but it knows when to say, okay, now I will kind of put it aside and objectively take a look at the situation and see what's best for us here. Okay.
Beautiful.
So that, although with a little bit of tension, it's still very supportive because it basically gives us the possibility to plant the new seeds and intentions around equality in relationships, empathy, listening, and also reassess and reconsider how we do relationships, and also revitalize existing relationships.
Wow. Okay, so there's actually a lot of work to do. This month. It sounds to me like that anyway.
It is. I would say that as well. Yes.
Yeah. A lot of work on relationships, of course. Yeah, I think, but it also sort of takes work on yourself. If you're reviewing your relationships, you also need to look towards yourself, like, what can I do better? Or, like you said, just showing up differently. And wow, okay. So it's going to be, it's going to be a very interesting month.
Yeah, it will be exciting. But also, let's not forget that the new astrological year started back in March. It started with the Aries season, and then we went through Taurus and Gemini and Cancer and Leo and then Virgo. And now we're stepping into the area of relationships, or the other. So let's say in the past half a year, we were working mostly on ourselves with a lot of changes which are happening in the society, in this life, in the way we work, in the way we spend time at home, in the way we interact with technology, and so on. So it was the whole preparation period for us to accept the changes which are in us, accept the changes which we want to make in our lives, in our routines and lifestyles and values and so on. And now with the Libra season, we get to bring these changes into our relationships. So I've changed, and therefore my relationships should change as well.
Change as well, yes. So that's the balance.
Yeah.
It always balances out, doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so then we have the full moon in Aries in 27 degrees. That is happening on October 20th. All right. And that will be the time when many planets will have already have station direct. For example, Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. So all of those were retrograde at one point, and then by October 20th, all these 4 planets are already direct. So there is direct motion. It's not internal anymore, because when a planet is retrograde, there are a lot of internal changes. It's all about the internal transformation, going deeper into oneself, reassessing various areas in our lives. By October 20th, many of those planets are having the direct movement. And so in terms of aspects, there are quite a few, it's a mixed bag, I would say. There are quite a few planets which are creating tension and creating, some kind of impatience, especially with Aries. There can be a lot of impatience. It's a fiery sign. It wants to just launch forward, to run and, experience life as it is. But here, since it's a full moon, it brings also quite some illuminations and quite some learnings since March, when the Aries season started. So we take a look back and we look at what happened in terms of different themes related to Aries, which would be the sense of self, who we are now, how did we change in those past 6 months, how do we experience ourselves, and who we are when all other layers are stripped, when we take away the job and relationships and family and anything, friends and social status and so on, who we are beneath all those layers. What has changed?
That's a very deep question, actually.
It is a deep question, exactly. And so I will not go through all the aspects because there's a lot. There is there is the whole list of a lot of planets are dancing together to create something here. But I can see 2 main themes. First of all, there will be a T-square between the Moon, Pluto, Sun, and Mars in the cardinal energies in Aries, Capricorn, and Libra. And that, for me, it shows that the Pluto will help to purge the old. It kind of brings a detox to the axis of Aries, Libra. Okay, that is the me versus another person. Aries is all about me, Libra is all about another. And so Pluto is helping to purge the old patterns, purge anything that is not serving, and bringing back into the balance. So that I'm not too much into me and forgetting about other people and ignorant about other people. And I'm also not too much about them and losing oneself, right? Really finding the healthy balance. And then another very supportive aspect, the group of aspects, is that Jupiter will be Jupiter in Aquarius trine the Sun and Mars in Libra, and it basically it supports this new growth and expansion on the same axis by introducing emotional detachment, objectivity, friendship as a basis for relationships, perhaps some unconventional kind of unions may come forward, right?
Ooh.
So we basically kind of expand our point of reference. It's not anymore our mind that says, oh, I have to have an ideal partner so that he or she would look like from a advertisement, and it will be, you know, ideal Instagram posts and pictures. It's not about ideal anymore. It's really expanding ourselves to become broader and to fall in love with the person's soul rather than with how she or he looks. Yeah, it's not the appearance anymore. It's going really deeper.
Right? That's beautiful. That is very beautiful. So it's going to be very deep. Do you think we're going to feel a lot of push and pull? The pushing in the sense of, you know, the relationships, but then the pulling in inwards towards the soul. Did I describe that right?
Absolutely. I'm surprised that you basically took the essence of the Aries Libra axis, because Aries Libra axis, it is the push and pull, and it is almost like this the seesaw. Yes. One extreme, another extreme, one extreme, another extreme. I want relationships, I want freedom, I want to be with somebody, I want to be alone. It's about me, no, it's about them. So there is a lot of this push and pull back and forth. And so the Libra season is really bringing us to basically face those questions. How much do I give to others? How much do I give to myself? How much do I catch myself in conditioned mind status of who do I want to have in my life, or who do I want to date in my life, or how conditioned am I about how relationships should I unfold or must unfold? So there will be a lot of reconsideration and reassessment of how we build relationships, what is the old traditional approach, and what is the new free approach, which can bring a lot of satisfaction to both sides.
Wow, very excited. I'm really excited about this. I think I'm ready for it, definitely.
I'm happy to hear, because I can see also there's the Venus in Sagittarius. It will give a flow of wisdom, higher perspective. And this is what we need when we are changing a lot of things in our lives. Higher perspective and wisdom is exactly what we need.
Yes, definitely. I'm a Sagittarius as well. But yes, and I love Venus. For some reason, I've always been a bit obsessed with Venus. But yes, that is so exciting. I'm very excited. I'm ready. I am ready for this season.
Oh, yes. What would you recommend? What else? Do you have anything else from the crystals perspective that you would recommend?
I think focus a lot on the heart, from what I hear from today, like the push and pull as well. So crystal like Epido will be beautiful. It's a green with a bit of sort of white in the background, if you say, but it has such a strong connection to the heart. And I think that brings a lot of balance. But I do personally also find it, again, grounding. It feels earthy almost. It's like I get that feel from Epido. It's a very earthy crystal for some reason. And I mean, my ultimate obsession with Ocean Jasper is, you know, I'm obsessed with Ocean Jasper. I think it's one of the most beautiful ones with all its colors, and it doesn't even have one color. It's got thousands of colors, different shades and feels, and some are a bit more it is sort of volcanic anyway, but some of them are very volcanic and strong and fiery, but some of them more look like an ocean, or some of them look like a planet. It's so beautiful, but it also has a beautiful connection to the solar plexus. So it's the gut feeling and a little bit of, you know, sort of creativity as well. Your solar plexus I'm talking about, and I think that is also a beautiful crystal to have for this month.
Sounds like an ideal support.
Definitely. Wow, Jeff. Again, I think this will be very helpful to a lot of people. It's definitely helpful to me that you're reading all of this, and that we're sort of ready. We know what's to come, and we can, you know, make ourselves be mindful of what is to come. And I think that would also help with one's mind.
Absolutely, especially with the upcoming Mercury retrograde. It is out of our mind and back into our hearts.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful ending. Thank you so much, Jeff, again, and we will see you next month.
Thank you, Laura. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Tali Loz podcast. Next week, we've got something to celebrate. Tali Loz is 1 year old, and I'm going to be interviewed by Haley Joe.